I watched it spin and drop. As it fell, he matched the speed of the blade with the downward motion of his hand, and grasped the handle between his thumb and fingers, like a pincer, gripping firmly. Now you try. Notice how I caught it, so that even if I happened to grab the blade, it wouldn't slice me. He tossed another knife toward me. More relaxed, I stepped out of the way, and made only a feeble attempt at catching it. If you drop the next one, I'm going to start throwing overhand, he promised. This time my eyes were glued to the handle. As it came near, I reached out. Hey, I did it. Aren't sports wonderful, he said. For a while we became totally immersed in throwing and catching. Then he paused. Now let me tell you about Satori Zen concept. Satori is the warrior's state of being. It occurs at the moment, when the mind is free of thought, pure awareness, the body is active, sensitive, relaxed, and the emotions are open and free. Satori is what you experience when the knife is flying towards you. You know, Sock, I've had that feeling many times, especially during competitions. Often I'm concentrating so hard, I can't even hear the applause. Yes, that is the experience of Satori. And now if you grasp what I say next, you will learn the correct use of sports or painting or music, or any other active or creative gateway to Satori. You imagine that you love gymnastics, but it is merely the wrapping for the gift within Satori. The right use of gymnastic is to focus your full attention and feeling on your actions. Then you will achieve Satori. Gymnastics draws you into the moment of truth, when your life is on the line, like a dueling samurai. It demands your full attention. Satori or die. Like in the middle of a double somersault. Yes, that's why gymnastics is a warrior's art, a way to train mind and emotions as well as the body. A doorway to Satori. Your final step is to expand this clarity into daily life, then Satori will become your reality, your key to the gate. Sighed. It seems like such a distant possibility, Socrates. When you ran up the hill after joy, he grinned. You didn't look wistfully at the top of the mountain, you looked directly in front of you, and took one step at a time. That's how it works. The house rules, right? He smiled in answer. I yawned, and stretched. Socrates advised, you'd better get some sleep. You're beginning special training tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock at the Berkeley High School track. When my alarm rang at 6:15, I had to drag myself out of bed, submerge my head in cold water, do some deep breathing by the open window, then scream into my pillow to wake up. I was alert by the time I hit the streets. I jogged slowly, crossing Shattuck, and cut down Alston Way past the Berkeley YMCA, the post office, then across Millview, onto the high school grounds, where Sock was awaiting me. Soon discovered that he had a regular program planned for me. It started with a half-hour in that unbearable crouching position he'd shown me in the gas station. Then we worked with some basic principles of the martial arts. The true martial arts teach harmony, or non-resistance, the way of the trees bending in the wind, for example. This attitude is far more important than physical technique. Using the principles of Aikido, Socrates was able to throw me without any apparent effort, no matter how I tried to push him, grab him, punch him, or even tackle him. Never struggle with anyone or anything. When you push the pull, and when you repelled push, find the natural force and bend with it. Then you are joined with nature's power. His actions were the proof of his words. Soon it was time to go. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Stay home tonight and practice your exercises. Remember, make your breathing so slow that it wouldn't disturb the feather in front of your nose. He moved off, as if on roller skates, and I ran toward my apartment, so relaxed that I felt like the wind was blowing me home. In the gym that day, I did my best to apply what I'd learned, letting movements happen instead of trying to do them. My giant swings on the high bar seemed to go around by themselves. I swung, hopped, and somersaulted to handstand after handstand on the parallel bars. My circles, scissors, and pommel work on the horse felt as if I were supported by strings from the ceiling, weightless. And, finally, my tumbling legs were returning. Sock and met just after sunrise every morning. I would stride along, and Sock would run leaping like a gazelle. Each day I grew more relaxed, and my reflexes became lightning quick. One day, when we were in the middle of our warm-up run, he suddenly stopped, looking paler than I'd ever seen him before. I'd better sit down, he said. Socrates, can I do anything? Yup. It seemed difficult for him to talk. Just keep running, Dan. I'll just sit quietly. I did as he asked, but kept my eyes on his still figure, sitting with eyes closed, looking proud and straight, but older somehow. As we'd agreed weeks before, I didn't come to see him in the evening at the station, but I called to see how he was. I was relieved when Socrates answered. How's it going, coach? I asked. In the pink, he said, but I've hired an assistant to take over for a few weeks. Okay, Soc, take care of yourself. The next day I saw my assistant coach run onto the track and literally jumped for joy. I held her gently, hugging her and whispering in her ear. She threw me just as gently, head over heels onto the lawn. If that wasn't mortifying enough, she beat me kicking field goals, then batted the balls I pitched 50 yards over my head. Whatever we did, no matter what game, she played flawlessly, making me, a world champion, blush with shame and anger. I doubled the number of exercises Socrates had given me. I trained with a greater concentration than ever before. I awoke at 4 a.m., practiced Tai Chi until dawn, and ran into the hills before meeting Joy each day. Said nothing about my extra training. I carried her image with me into my classes, and into the gym. I wanted to see her, to hold her, but first I had to catch her. For the present, the most I could hope for was to beat her at her own games. A few weeks later, I was back running, skipping, and leaping around the track with Socrates, who was back in action. My legs felt filled with power and spring. Socrates, I said, sprinting ahead and falling behind. Playing tag with him, you've been pretty close-mouthed about your daily habits. I've no idea what you're like when we're not together. Well, grinning at me, he leaped forward about 10 feet, then sprinted off around the track. I took off after him, until I was within talking range. Are you going to answer me? Nope, he said. The subject was closed. When we finally finished our stretching and meditation exercises for the morning, Socrates came up to me, put his arm around my shoulders, and said, Dan, you've been willing and able. From now on, you're to arrange your own schedule. Do the exercises as you feel they're needed. I'm going to give you something extra, because you've earned it. I'm going to coach you in gymnastics. I had to laugh. I couldn't help it. You're going to coach me in gymnastics? I think you're overreaching yourself this time, Soc. I ran quickly down the turf, and snapped into a round-off, back handspring, and a high layout somersault with a double twist. Socrates walked over to me, and said, you know, I can't do that. Hot dog. I yelled. I've finally found something I can do that you can't. I did notice, though, he added, that your arms need to stretch more when you set for the twist. Oh, and your head is too far back on takeoff. Soc, you old bluffer. You're right, said, realizing that I had set my head back too far, and my arms did need to stretch more. Once we straighten out your technique a bit, we can work on your attitude, he added, with a final twist of his own. I'll be seeing you in the gym. But Socrates, I already have a coach, and I don't know if Hal or the other gymnasts will take to your wandering around the gymnastics room.